Hey guys, it's zVeNoMz here with another deck profile of Mono Red Drakons. This is the last deck profile for this week. I'll be waiting until after Dragon Strike Furnace comes out to start doing more deck profiles for Kaijdo. But anyways, this is Mono Red Drakons. I'm sorry for the glare. I know you can't really see any of the cards laid out, but I can still explain to you what they are and put the deck list down in the description down below. This deck runs really well. A lot of people underestimate this deck. The basics of it is if you get a bad hand, you know all decks get a bad hand. This one just gets them a little bit more often, but they're fixable. The deck certainly runs really well. For my tournament on Tuesday, I'm either running this or some sort of blurple variant if I can get my hands on 2 Inferno-Rons and 2 Razor Kinder Puppets by then. Which I think I can borrow 2 Inferno-Rons and borrow 1 Razor Kinder Puppet, so that makes me more apt to play Blurple. But if I don't play Blurple, I'll probably play this just because I like this deck a lot. Let's go ahead and get into the deck profile though. Let's go ahead and explain the Drakons first and then explain the other stuff next. So for the Drakons, you run 3 1-drop Drakons, which is Jetflame Bodyguard. It's just a big 3000 skirmisher. Turn 1 you play him and they play a Blaze Belcher or something like that and you kill that Blaze Belcher. They play anything that will attack turn 1, you just kill it right off with Jetflame. Plus it's really good Evo bait, it's a 1-drop. It's kind of like Cyber Sprite for Cyberlords, you gotta run it. Then for 2 drops, I run 3 Cliffcutters and 3 Drakon Weaponsmith. Drakon Weaponsmith is the best 2-drop that Drakons have. And then Cliffcutter boosts himself whenever you have an evolution on board. Since I run 6 evolutions, the odds of that happening are pretty high. And he is a good Evo bait as well. For the 3-drop evolution or Drakons, I run double Super Bazooka Volcanodon. He's not that good in my opinion just because he only has 1000 attack. So that way after he swings, he might be hitting for 5000 and breaking a shield almost guaranteed. Unless they block it with a puny blocker, but it's very easy to swing back over. They can just come back and swing over it right after you swing for a shield. So it's kind of weak in Night Matter. That's why I only run 2 of it. But it is still a 3-drop Drakon, which you want to get as many low drops as you can. The next 3-drop Drakon is triple Blastforge Slaver. It's there to pump all of your Drakons up to get them bigger, to make them less apt to be blocked, and especially against a wall deck when they play that Granger, you want to be able to get over it. So that's how you can get over it, is triple Blastforge Slavers. Then you run triple Drakon Warchief. It's one of the Heart of Fire or Heart of whatever. It's the effects that happen when you've only got 1 color in your mana. I do believe that those cards are underestimated right now, because Drakon Warchief is just basically a permanent version of Gilaflame the Assaulter, if you ask me. He just stays on board permanently until he dies, obviously, while Gilaflame bounces the hand. And this guy's a 5000 attacker. Now they can run over him a little bit easier, but for the most part, he's pretty much a permanent version of Gilaflame, which is why I like him. But yeah, the single color decks, in my opinion, are slightly underestimated because when you've got cards like Drakon Warchief and what's the Chimera, Scavenging Chimera, and the Prism Blade Enforcer, and can't think of the others right now, but the green one's the only one that's not any good, but the other 4 are just insanely good, and people underestimate them, and they do really well. But anyways, moving on, the last 6 Drakons I run are 3 of each of the evolutions, Laser-Arm Drakon and Blastforge Captain. Laser-Arm Drakon is insanely powerful. It's a 3-drop, 6000 double breaker, pretty much. And then with a Blastforge Slaver on board, he becomes a 3-drop, 8000 double breaker. That's a hefty hit and hard to stop. But anyways, and then Blastforge Captain, the main reason why it's in there is to kill a bunch of puny stuff that's hurting me. Like, my opponent has double lock with Seneschal on board. I play Blastforge Captain, swing, kill both their Seneschals, or Seneschal on the blocker and kill the other Seneschal that's tapped down or something like that. You know, it's just really good. It just hurts a lot of early game plays, and considering he's only a 5-drop, you can get there, especially if you're facing a deck that has nature, you can get there pretty quickly if it hits stuff. Now moving on to the non-Drakon support, you run triple Blaze Belcher. It's a really good turn 1 play. After that, it generally just goes into mana, but this card is just really good in my opinion. And plus it's the only promo in the deck, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, it's just a really good card, and it's just your best turn 1 play. Either that or Jetflame, obviously. Those are only turn 1 plays. But anyways, then you run double Gilaflame. It is a Drakon, but I'm classifying it as a non-Drakon support because it doesn't stay on board very long, so I don't feel like it should be evolution bait or a Drakon support card. It's just straight up extra support because it just comes into play, swings, bounces back to hand. Pretty good. And then last, I also run 2 Bolt-tailed Dragons, which I do believe is really good. He's a really good finisher. And most of you are going to say, whoa, that messes your mana curve up, because you got everything is 5-drop or below except for the double Bolt-tail, which is 8-drop. That messes your mana curve up a lot. While yes, it does, I generally don't use them unless I'm playing the nature matchup where they're sitting there playing their root traps and returning the souls and putting my creatures back in mana, or tendril grasps and stuff like that. So then I'll be able to easily get to this card. And if anything, if a game does hold over to where I've got 8 cards in mana, guess what? I can be playing 2 4-drops in turn. I can be playing 2 Drakon Warchiefs. I can be playing double Cliffcutter, Blastforge Slaver, and a Jetflame Bodyguard. I can be playing so many different combinations of low-drop creatures that the benefit of the 8 mana is not just the Bolt-tail, it's also being able to play multiple cards at once. And finally, getting on to the spells, I run triple Comet Missile, because getting rid of pesky blockers such as Grandeur is always necessary. And the biggest one, which just absolutely murders this deck, is Scared Rebel of Gloom Hollow. You gotta get that thing off board. As soon as it hits the board, you just gotta say no to it. So Comet Missiles, I generally will hold those in hand, especially if I know I'm playing a Darkness deck. But all my friends here, we only have one guy that has 1 Scared Rebel of Gloom Hollow, and he's got proxying the other 2, so he can't use it in a tournament unless he unproxies those. But anyways, I run 2 Heat Seekers. It banishes something that's got 3,000 or less. It's pretty decent. It's pretty much a 3-drop version of Rock Bite, which I also run 2 of, but it's a Shield Blast for Rock Bite, which is why I run 2 of it and 2 of Heat Seekers. And then finally, I run triple Tornado Flame. Probably, other than Barrage, it's the best card, or red spell. And I don't run any Barrages because I don't feel like they're necessary for this deck. But anyways, this deck is kind of like a in-between of a rush and an aggro deck, because it rushes and it's also very aggressive, you know, but it's not true rush and it's not true aggro. It's kind of like a mix between the two. And it has no control aspect whatsoever. I mean, you can try to make it controlling, but it's not very good at controlling. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, yes. I still remember the first time I posted up a deck list onto Kaijdo Central, I believe it was. I had, I believe, 6. No, I had less than 6. I had like 4 evolutions in my deck, and somebody told me that's too many evolutions. You'll never get that many off. And now I'm sitting here running 6 evolutions in this deck, and it works perfectly. You can never have too many evolutions, in my opinion, because you can evolve them off of themselves if you wanted to. Like, if I have a Blastforge Captain that's done his job, I mean, if I have a Laser-Arm Drakon on board that's done this job, and he's my only Drakon, and I draw a Blastforge, depending on the field situation, I might actually put Blastforge on top of Laser-Arm Drakon. You can never have too many evolutions. I mean, correction, you can't have too many evolutions, but it's kind of hard to make evolutions bad by burning too many of them. Obviously, you wouldn't want to run more than like 10, because that would be excessive. Especially, the most I would see in a mono deck is once the next set comes out, I'm going to take out one of the Blastforge Captains and run 2 of the dude that searches the Bronca, the new one that just got released by Pojo. I'm going to be using 2 of those and 2 of its 2-drop version, which I'll be taking out the Super Volcanodones for the 2 Broncas. Actually, I might even take out a Bolt-tail for the 3rd Bronca and run 3 Broncas, because this deck is going to be really more a rush in that situation. But anyways, and then I'd be running, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I'd be running 7, so in my opinion, in a monocolor deck, in a single civilization deck, you could run up to 10 if you really wanted to. It'd be kind of pushing it there. But in most decks, especially 2 or 3 civilization decks, you only want to run roughly 2 to 4 at most, probably. Maybe 5 or 6 if you're pushing it. But anyways, so that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment down in the comment section down below. Rate, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos, and I will see you in the next video.